Hello there, Axel Doodles here, back with another trap and puzzle video. This is actually video 10 already, and I just want to say thank you for watching. Now, this one is going to be a bit different. Instead of just giving you 3 traps or puzzles and letting you loose upon your world, I'm going to show you some do's and don'ts to make your traps and puzzles better for both you and your party. So, let's get started. As always, if your players come up with a clever or creative solution to your puzzle or trap, give them their reward. They should feel like they actually accomplished a goal and got something from it and not just frustration. Okay, now on to the tips. First of all, for your traps, you want them to be avoidable. There's nothing worse than triggering a trap and not having some way to avoid it.
I am inevitable.
This means using saving throws, depending on the type of damage and the type of trap. Too many DMs, including me when I first started, forget saving throws and just give a punishment for triggering something. If you decide to do half damage instead of full on a success, be very careful. You should only do this on very rare occasions where it is a massive area of effect condition, and I'm talking about the entire room levels of massive. However, you also do want there to be some sort of punishment. If a player triggers a trap and fails their saving throw, notice how I said triggers and fails, because you need both. Anyway, if a player triggers a trap and fails their saving throw, then have them get punished. It can be damage like most traps, but it can have other negative effects as well. I've used teleporting a player, stealing an item, silencing, and many more. Just because they're low level and you don't want to risk killing them while they're squishy, doesn't mean you can't put in exciting traps for your players to try to keep them on edge. But what is the point of a trap if not to scare the pants off your players or TPK? Well, it's simple. Your goal is to wear them down. Traps are meant to use resources and slowly whittle down HP until the final boss. It's always embarrassing and boring when your players steamroll your dungeon bosses. However, if they go in and they aren't at full health, or they had to use some spell slots in the process, it can make the whole situation far more intense and threatening. But again, your goal is not a TPK. There's nothing more infuriating than dying in a trap that was made unavoidable or far too deadly. Give the players a chance, and have the damage scaled properly. If they're a low level, have the trap do a D4 and scale it up from there. I can't give exact numbers because there's no science to this, it's more of an art. Look at your character's abilities too, and see what they can excel at. Base your traps around their abilities so they actually have a chance to use them. I see DMs purposely using traps and monsters that negate specific abilities, which is super frustrating for the players. They picked them for a reason, they should be encouraged to use them. Now for your puzzles. You want them to be solvable. I know, it seems obvious, but what is easy for one person is nearly impossible for another. TTRPGs, for the most part, as far as I know, are socially based games. If you have 3 to 5 people working on one puzzle, it has to be solvable by at least one of them. If they've been at a puzzle for too long and you're getting frustrated, then it's time for you to step in and give some hints. You can ask the players for an intelligence check or a perception check. Give them little clues throughout the area that they can find for assistance as well. For example, in a puzzle I explained in my 4th video called The Musical Fountain, the party comes across a marble fountain with a stone creature holding an instrument. The instrument is real though, and the players need to play a specific piece of music on the instrument to unlock the puzzle. If they're stuck, ask them to check their proficiencies for knowledge of that instrument. Then they can discover it's real. Or you could have a plaque with a riddle or phrase that gives them a clue. It could say something like, "Music is the key to the door, play the tune and see what's in store." Whatever you come up with should be easy enough that they don't feel like they're getting more confused. That's the hardest part about giving clues though. Sometimes if done incorrectly, they can add more confusion. For example, if the same puzzle had a plaque that said, "Art around, in sight and sound, notes a flutter without stutter," that would be far too abstract to be a good hint. Your party will get so distracted by the new riddle that they may forget the clues you've already given them. Have you ever ran a trap or puzzle and had to explain the setup to your players 5 or 6 times before they finally start to understand, and even then they still ask for a bunch of clarification? Well, you shouldn't blame your players for just not paying attention. Delivery is key with these. I prefer the KISS method. I know you've heard of it before. Keep it simple, stupid. You should be able to describe the trap or puzzle idea in as little as a few sentences. Then use a paragraph or 2 to flesh it out and describe exactly what you want. If you're the kind of DM who doesn't like to explain detail, or you don't want to pre-write descriptions, then maybe these aren't the puzzles and traps for you. If you could come up with descriptions on the fly, then good for you. You're way better than I am. I'm the kind of DM who loves to prep, so I have a lot of notes. Most of them are puzzles and traps though. That way I know the exact description of the room, what's going on in it, and what the puzzle or trap is, and a few ways I can think to solve it. If your players still get confused with descriptions, use physical items instead. You can use battle maps to show where everything in the room is. Also, use some pictures if you can find one that represents what you want, or if you're more talented than me, you can draw them. I prefer to make physical props for my games. I like my riddles to be written down in an old-looking piece of paper. That way the players can read it as many times as they want without me repeating it endlessly. Finally, communicate with your players. If they don't like puzzles and traps, then don't use them. Simple as that. This game should be fun for everyone, and if you as the DM are the only one enjoying yourself while the party sits there feeling bad about themselves because they can't solve a puzzle, then don't include them. I've been in different groups of players, and I've DM'd for different groups of players. Some love a good mystery, while others would rather just punch their problems away. It's okay to give some mental challenge, but if puzzles and traps aren't doing it for them, then just don't include them. That's it for this video. I hope it helps you in your endeavors to create a fun and exciting game for your players. Please comment down below any tips you follow in creating puzzles and traps. And while you're down there, please like and subscribe as well. See you later!